how to write a sales pitch for a product. Now, I'm glad you're looking this video up because if you're an entrepreneur, first off, you are in sales, all right? And I need you to understand that, I need you to recognize that. And in this video, I'm gonna teach you really the difference between $5,000 a month to $5,000 a day. And it really comes down to your sales pitch and how you write it and how you relate with the market. Let's dive in. All right, now first I need you to understand what a sales pitch and script actually is. You are literally mirroring all behavior psychology. You're not just like, oh, I'm trying to sell a product. Every time you make a decision in your life, you're actually using the same psychology as decision psychology. And so what is that? It literally comes down to us inside of our brain saying, oh, here's where I am. You know, sometimes call it sad land. Oh, so this is where I am. I'm not fulfilled. I'm not happy. There's more that I know I could be going after my life. And then we see opportunity. And it's in the distance, right? This is the grass is always greener on the other side of the hill mentality. We all have it though. You know, I wonder what it would be like to be over there. I wonder what it would be like to be experiencing what that person is experiencing. And so we start to go through a series of decisions, you know, to actually walk to the other side of the hill with the greener grass. Now that psychology is literally the exact same, like I said, as sales psychology. Sales and decision is the exact same. And so if you've made a decision if you've ever like helped someone to make a decision, hey, we should go to this movie versus that movie, congrats, you're already good at sales. But most people don't realize that. And so what I want to do is I just want you to see how easy it is to actually write a sales pitch for your product. Right now, you probably have a product, you've got a thing. And so there are 3 simple steps that you go through to write a script. Now, I will caveat this by saying that this is its own career, all right? Sales message writing, sales script writing is its own career. That is a massive, massive skill set and project. However, if you're just trying to get something out the door, these 3 steps are literally the way that I'd like to do it. So number 1, what we need to do is we need to tell the story that the listener can relate to and be like, oh my gosh, you created that product or you're selling this product, I can relate to you. Easiest story to tell that covers that base, you need to tell the story of when you were in sad land. Oh, I know where I want to be, right? And how you transitioned from sad land over to happy land, right? That's basically it. And we call it the origin story. How did you originally make the decision to go from where you are to where you're trying to get? That's it. Now we call it the origin story, and it's really the first third of a script, okay? A traditional script, especially online or for a product. When I was doing door-to-door sales, probably 50% of our sales would come just from our opener. We'd go knock around hey, how's it going? We're here to sell you pest control, blah, blah, blah. We'd do our shtick. And as we did that first little intro, those that did buy the first half would hear that and be like, okay, that was it. And they're like, sweet, that's it, sweet, okay. And 4 or 5 o'clock, debit or credit, we go through our thing and it was a bunch of closes and that was it. However, there's another 50% of sales that would come because of this next phase. So if you want to double sales, keep listening. So what we would do is we would tell all the new guys, I did door-to-door sales for 2 summers. I was a telemarketer for a summer as well. And there was this really cool phenomenon that happened usually in the first 3 weeks of any brand new sales job that I ever had. It was basically this. Okay, I'd be knocking on the doors, and when I was selling pest control, for example, okay, I would have these guys, and I'd walk on out, and I'd knock on the door, and they'd be like, hey, pest control, and they'd be like, I don't need to, I don't want to, because, beforehand, I got to talk to my spouse. I'm like, that makes sense. Or the next door would be like, I can't, well, does it kill bugs that are like this? All right, that's good to know. I'll ask if, am I stuck in a contract? So on and so forth. It ended up being that in the first 3 weeks, we would hear 80% of the objections that we ever would, okay, ever. And so all we would do is we would start creating a preloaded rebuttal to their objection to buying. So I'm telling you this because if you've sold anything ever, you know what I'm talking about, right? There is a list of common questions that you basically can guess are going to come your way every time you start selling something. Right? So I think actually this is how I was trained on the doors, and it's true online. This is literally how I create my sales pitches online. We've done $100,000 days as well as $1 million day, which has been awesome. And it all comes down to what I'm teaching you right here. We tell that origin story of what it was like for us to go from transition from where sad land to happy land, and then we start harvesting out all of the rebuttals that someone gives. And we create preloaded rebuttals. And I had one of my sales trainers tell me, he's like, Steve, I imagine it like a arrow quiver. He's like, I got it on my back. And I go and I say my opener to the person, online or offline, doesn't matter. Same process, okay? I say my opener, And I'm like, I'm listening. Oh, they chose common rebuttal number 3. Let me reach back in my quiver. I've got one preloaded. Let me take that thing out and knock it out of the air and let them know that that's not a real objection. That's not a real reason to not buy. Does that make sense? Like, okay, and now progress the sale. And I just listen. And I'm like, oh, they're going with number 4. All right, there it is. There's common objection rebuttal number 4. Let me go grab preloaded, bam, right? And that's basically how it works. And you have to understand that all behavior psychology, all decision psychology is also the same. We get excited about a thing. I'm going to go skydive. You go out and you're like, I'm going to go skydive. Now, do you believe you can skydive? Is it possible for anyone to skydive? Of course it is. So you progress down the sale. Is it possible for you to skydive? And you're like, what's your rebuttal? Right? And you're like, that sounds psycho. And then a friend says, just do it, we'll do it together. Rebuttal. A common objection, take down the sale, take down. Does that make sense? So the way this works is it's a game, and this is how I was taught, and I do the same thing when I write copy for a sales script, okay? All the sales letters, all the sales pages that I ever put together, if you look at them from a macro view, I tell the major story of how the product came to be, and then I start putting in 3 to 5 preloaded rebuttals to the most common rebuttals they're probably going to give. That's all the game really is. Before I show you the third and final part, which honestly, if you don't do, you won't make money. Guys, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button. I really enjoy making these videos for you. And I do look, it's super fun to see if you guys have liked it. If there is a piece in here you're like, oh, that's been really, really powerful, go ahead and put it in the comments. Or what I would like also to see is what are the most common rebuttals and objections you have heard your customers and future customers give you? I think it'd be fun to see everyone's excuses. All right, guys, time for the third and final part. We've said the story on going from here to there, right? From, life's in 480p to now life's in 4K, right? We've told that story, the transition right there. Now we've collected a whole bunch of excuses why we don't want to make the journey because it's going to be hard, or am I going to have snacks, or am I going to have, you're right, does that make sense? And we got our pre-listed quiver of all these things. Now, how do we actually make the final bow on the script? It's actually quite simple. You have to remind people to take action every time you solve one of their objections. Okay, so it looks kind of like this. I'm going to go out and I'm going to say, sales message, right? Origin story. They're like, well, reason to buy, reason to buy, reason to not buy, right? And I'm like, oh, there's a reason to not buy. Here's my preloaded thing. As I step around the wall, I'm going to close again. So for example, hey, we're here just with the Joneses and we're here and we're doing pest control here. It's 50% off because half of our cost is just getting the truck here. So if you want, we can spray your house for half off. Is 4 or 5 o'clock okay for you today? That was our opening pitch. You've probably heard that as well if anyone's, be gentle with door-to-door people. All right, that's a hard job. Then they would say, well, I don't know, I need to talk to my spouse. And I would say, you know what, let's make you the hero today. Like, come on, you need the brownie points. Your wife doesn't like the bugs either, does she? Come on, she doesn't. All right, is 4 or 5 o'clock okay today for you? Debit or credit? Now, the reason why I go back to the last thing I just said, 4 or 5 o'clock okay for you today, is because we are getting into the phase it's called closes. And those of you guys who've been in sales, you're like, well, duh. But a lot of you guys don't know this, all right? Closes are logical reasons to act now. That's all close is. Close are logical reasons to act now. Hurry, buy one, get one off, right? 50% off before midnight tonight. We've all purchased from a department store because of closes, because of those bargains. Those are closes. Those are logical reasons to pull out my wallet, my credit card, and purchase right now. Does that make sense? And unless you continually find other ways to remind people about logical reasons to buy now, guess what? They'll think that they can just buy tomorrow. And what happens when the customer thinks they can buy tomorrow? They never buy. So we find logical reasons for somebody to act now on the internet, right? And you should do the same thing for your product now by coming up with a series of usually 2 to 3, if not more, logical reasons for them to take action right now. Okay? Now, make sure they're real. Don't be a dirtbag. Be ethical. Be moral. Come up with actual legitimate reasons why somebody should act now. And what you'll find is that every time you solve an objection, you solve one of their rebuttals, immediately go back to the close. How does this translate in the internet, Steve? Honestly, what we do is if you look at a macro view of our actual sales letters and our sales pages online, you'll see, oh my gosh, this first part, this is clearly an origin story. And he went for a close. And then I'll start to think okay, I'm going to guess that all these people, they're going to have a rebuttal around X, Y, and Z, 1, 2, and 3. So then I'll create a response to those before they have a chance to say them because they're reading it on a page. And after every single one of them, all I'm doing is just reclosing them. Logical reason to act now. Are you thinking this? Is this the reason you don't want to move forward? Answer, right? Console. And then we go back to close. Logical reason to act now. Wait, but oh my gosh, you haven't acted yet. Are you still thinking, you're still reading this page. Are you thinking this? And it's this pattern of barrier, step around barrier, and close. Barrier, step around barrier, and close. The reason I'm saying this is because a lot of people think that writing a pitch or writing copy is different just because it's on the internet. Claude Hopkins, 1800s, one of the fathers of advertising, he said that copy is salesmanship in word. That's it. That's it. So there's nothing else. And so if you don't consider yourself to be a salesperson, or you don't know how sales actually works and the psychology behind it, honestly, you're going to struggle writing copy. And that's why, Steve, how do I write a pitch for my product, right? That's the name of this video. You have to understand that. Otherwise, it's going to be hard. It's going to be a hard, long road for you in writing copy. You're just a salesperson in Word. That's it. Hey, if you've struggled writing sales messages in the past, I completely get it. It doesn't need to be a massive chore though. You should come to my event. It's called OfferMind. Go to offermind.com. The link is in the description below, and there we will teach you how to create a lucrative offer and the sales message that sells it. Your product will not sell itself on its own. Come to OfferMind, go to offermind.com, and we'll help you write your sales message there.